A judge has thrown out cases against two of Donald Trump's political enemies, the former FBI Director James Comey and New York's Attorney General Letitia James. Our North America correspondent Carrington Clarke is watching it all in Washington, D.C. G'day, Carrington. Now, the judge agreed with this argument that the prosecutor was unlawfully appointed, and that was essentially enough to get this thrown out.
Yeah, this is an extraordinary setback for Donald Trump and his quest to take retribution against his perceived political enemies. Now, both James Comey, he's the former FBI director, and Letitia James, who still serves as the New York Attorney General, were people who Donald Trump perceived had treated him badly in the past, and he publicly called for his Attorney General to go after them. Lindsey Halligan is Donald Trump's former personal attorney. She was also a White House aide, and as the district judge in this case noted, she had no prosecutorial experience when Donald Trump, through his Attorney General Pam Bondi, appointed her as the attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, and then she brought these cases, these separate cases, against those two political enemies. So the judges found that when she was appointed, it wasn't legal, in part because she was appointed following the stepping down of her predecessor, Eric Siebert, who was also a Donald Trump appointee. So basically, the system is supposed to be that the president nominates people to serve in these high-level roles, and then they're confirmed by the Senate. There is an allowance because of the way that these processes work for the president to sometimes appoint people and not have Senate confirmation, which is what happened with Eric Siebert. But basically the judge is saying you can't do that twice in a row for obvious reasons, because if you're able to do that, then the president almost has unfettered power to appoint people who will do their bidding. And that's what you don't want when you have a system of checks and balances. So this is an extraordinary setback, particularly in the case of James Comey, because part of the reason the charges were brought when they were, and it was accused of illegally authorizing the leaking of information when he was FBI director, but they were coming up to a statute of limitations when charges could be brought. So the question is, even if the Justice Department, as is expected, appeals this ruling, whether or not they will actually extend the time that those charges can occur. It's also a real question mark about Lindsey Halligan's continuation in that role, and there is a question about whether or not she herself could face repercussions if it's found that she's brought frivolous charges under basically the direction of the administration. So this is a big day, not only for the two people involved, Letitia James and James Comey, who will be will have a sigh of relief today, but also about whether or not Donald Trump will now be able to go after other perceived enemies. He talked about on the campaign trail about that he would be going for retribution, and whether or not he will now continue to try to do that, given he has had such a major step back. We do expect, though, the Justice Department will appeal, and this could well end up at the Supreme Court, and they might have a final say on exactly how wide-reaching the US president's powers actually are when it comes to the Justice Department.